Shalom Israel, it's Kazawan, and the name of this video is Job from Self-Righteous to Righteous. I'm doing this video because the Job story is talked about a lot, but there's a key part of the story that's often overlooked. We know that Job lost all he had and that in the end he got it all back and even more, but Job went through a process of spiritual growth that all of us can learn from. Let's look at it. This is Job 1:1. It says, "There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job." Here it is. "And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared the Most High, and eschewed," or that means to turn away from, "evil." So here we see that Job was called perfect and upright. In fact, the Most High even told Satan that Job was perfect. Let's jump down to verse 8. It says, "And Yahweh said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth?" Here it is. "A perfect and an upright man, one that feareth the Most High and eschewed evil." So we see that the Most High referred to Job as perfect and upright, meaning Job kept the law. But the thing is, when the Most High said this, Job was perfect by the letter of the law, but he had a common problem that a lot of us have. Believe it or not, Job was actually self-righteous. Now, that might sound strange to some of you, but let's look at it. Job was a rich man, and he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The Most High allowed Satan to attack Job, and he lost his 7 sons, his 3 daughters, his servants, and all his flock in the same day. Now let's jump down to verse 20 to see how Job handled it. Verse 20, it says, "Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped." Verse 21, "And said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. Yahweh gave, and Yahweh have taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh." So, even though Job lost everything he had, he still didn't turn away from the Most High, but instead he worshiped him. Verse 22, it says, "In all this Job sinned not, nor charged the Most High foolishly." Now, somebody might say, how was Job self-righteous when he stayed faithful to the Most High even after he lost everything? Well, Job did lose everything, but nothing happened to him. When Job found out what happened, verse 22 says that Job didn't sin, and he didn't speak against what the Most High did. However, the Most High allows Satan to attack Job again. Watch this. This is Job 2:6. It says, "And Yahweh said unto Satan, Behold," watch this, "he is in thine hand, but save his life." So the Most High told Satan, you can afflict Job, but don't kill him. Verse 7, "So went Satan forth from the presence of Yahweh, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown." Verse 8, "And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes." Verse 9, "Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die." So Job's wife told him to curse the Most High for allowing this to happen to him. Verse 10, it says, "But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of the Most High? And shall we not receive evil?" Watch this. It says, "In all this did not Job sin with his lips." So, after Job was physically attacked, notice what happened. It says, "In all this did not Job sin with his lips," meaning he didn't say anything verbally out loud, but on the inside, his perception of the Most High changed. And this is when the self-righteousness of Job began to come to the surface. See, Job was able to justify in his mind what happened to his children because they could have been in sin. But Job felt that the Most High should not have allowed Satan to attack him because Job knew that he kept the law. So this is where we see the problem that Job had. Job understood the importance of keeping the law. And yes, it's important even to this day. But Job was depending on his own righteousness as opposed to the righteousness of the Most High. He was perfect by the letter, but he was missing the spiritual aspect of it. And that's the reason that the Most High allowed Satan to attack him. Job had to learn that all his righteousness was as a filthy rag, and that we are saved by the grace of the Most High, not by our own works. Again, that doesn't negate the law, but we don't depend on our ability to keep the law in order to be saved. Now, when you read the story, eventually Job started to complain about what he was going through, and he was going back and forth with the other men that was with him at the time. This is Job 32:1. It says, "So these three men ceased to answer Job." Watch this. It says, "Because he was righteous in his own eyes." See that? Job thought that he didn't deserve to go through what he was going through. In his own eyes, he was right, and nobody couldn't tell him anything different. Now, it's important to understand that a lot of the things that these men said to Job was wrong, because they were trying to convince Job that he was suffering because he was wicked, which was not the case. Job was actually suffering because the Most High was teaching him a valuable lesson. Now, at the end of the story, the Most High actually corrected the men that was with Job because they were saying things that were not right. But the point is, Job felt like he didn't deserve to go through what he was going through based on how righteous he was. Watch. Let's go back to Job 30:19. This is Job talking about his situation after Satan attacked him. It says, "He hath cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust and ashes." So Job is expressing what he feels the Most High did to him. Verse 20, it says, "I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not." So Job said, "I'm calling on you for help, but you're not helping me." Watch this, verse 21. "Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me." Now let's jump down to verse 25. This is still Job talking. It says, "Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor?" So now Job is starting to point out all the good things that he did for other people. Watch what he says next, verse 26. "When I looked for good," in other words, when good should have come to me based on all the good that I did, it says, "Then evil came unto me. And when I waited for light, there came darkness." So Job felt like the Most High wasn't being just. He felt like he was a righteous man and that he didn't deserve what was happening to him because he did good. Now, let's go to the next chapter. This is Job 31:3. It says, "Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity?" In other words, Job said, isn't evil supposed to happen to bad people? So why am I being punished? Verse 4 says, "Does not he see my ways and count all my steps?" In other words, Job said, doesn't the Most High see how righteous I am? How could he let this happen to me? Now, Job is about to put his righteousness to the test. Verse 5, it says, "If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot have hasted to deceit." Verse 6, "Let me be weighed in an even balance, that the Most High may know mine integrity." So basically, Job said, try me and see if I'm not on point. See if what I'm saying about myself is not the truth. So Job is really going over the top now about how righteous he is. That takes us back to Job 32:1. Let's look at it again. It says, so these three men ceased to answer Job. Why? It says, because he was righteous in his own eyes. You see, Job made the common mistake of thinking that he was justified by his own works as opposed to the grace and mercy of the Most High. So, how did the Most High handle Job in this self-righteous state? This is Job chapter 38:1, and this is the Most High talking. It says, then Yahweh answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, verse 2, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words? Watch this. Without knowledge. The Most High said, who is this talking as if they actually know what they're talking about? Verse 3, it says, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. So the Most High said, step up and be a man, Job. I'm about to ask you some questions, and I demand that you give me an answer. Verse 4, where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. So the Most High said, where was you at, Job, when I created the world? Since you feel like you know what I should and shouldn't do, you must have been there with me in the beginning when I made all of this. Where was you at, Job? Verse 5, it says, who have laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who have stretched the line upon it? Verse 6, whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? So the Most High is hitting Job with questions that Job doesn't have a clue about how to answer. And the Most High keeps asking him questions like this for the rest of chapter 38 and chapter 39. Let's jump ahead to chapter 40 and verse 1. It says, moreover, Yahweh answered Job and said, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? In other words, are you really going to try to tell me what's right and wrong, Job? It says, he that reproveth the Most High, let him answer it. So the Most High said, since you're trying to correct me, Job, on what I did, answer these questions. Now, after the Most High put Job in his place, Job started to humble down somewhat. Verse 3, it says, then Job answered Yahweh and said, behold, I am vile. Job said, I messed up. It says, what shall I answer thee? In other words, what am I going to say? I can't answer those questions. It says, I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. So Job said, I'm just going to shut up. Verse 5, once have I spoken, but I will not answer. So Job said, I spoke out of place before, but I'm not going to do it again. It says, yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. So Job saw that he was severely outmatched and that he couldn't answer the Most High. But as we read on, we're going to find out that he still thought he was right. And that's why I said that he started to humble down somewhat. Job was still missing the point that the Most High was making. Watch this, verse 6. Then answered Yahweh unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. So the Most High said, nah, Job, you're not getting off the hook that easy. Answer my questions. See, the Most High knew that Job still thought he was right inside. Verse 8, it says, wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me? Watch this. That thou mayest be righteous? You see, that was Job's issue. He wanted to be right. So the Most High said, are you going to change my order of what's right and what's wrong so that you can be right, Job? Verse 9, hast thou an arm like the Most High? Or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Watch this. verse 10, deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. So the Most High is flipping on Job. He said, let me see your majesty and your glory and your power, Job. What you got? Verse 11, cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Verse 12, look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Verse 13, hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. The Most High said, show me your power, Job. Let your wrath loose on the wicked, and bring the proud down. Verse 14, then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. So the Most High said, if you can do all these things, then I will agree with you that you should be the one in charge, and that you do know what's right and what's wrong. Now, when you read on, the Most High keeps going through this whole chapter and chapter 41. Now, somebody might say, why is he going so hard at Job? But it's because Job did humble himself by not responding, but he still felt within himself that he was right. The Most High wanted Job to actually change how he felt and to acknowledge that the Most High knows what's right. Let's jump ahead to Job chapter 42 on verse 1. It says, then Job answered Yahweh and said, verse 2, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. You see that? Job knew that the Most High knew what he was actually thinking. So now Job is going to go back to the question that the Most High asked him in chapter 38. Here it is, verse 3. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? In other words, Job said, you asked me this question earlier and I couldn't answer it. It says, therefore have I uttered that I understood not. Job said, I was talking about things I have no understanding of. It says, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Verse 4, hear I beseech thee, and I will speak. So Job said humbly to the Most High, I'll speak if you're willing to listen. It says, I will demand of thee. In other words, I will ask of thee. The word demand in this verse is the Hebrew word sha'al, which means to ask or inquire. So Job wasn't saying, I'm demanding you to speak to me. Job was actually saying, I will ask of thee. It says, and declare thou unto me. In other words, Job said, I'm going to humble myself and ask you questions and get the understanding from you. Now watch this, verse 5. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear. In other words, Job said, I only knew you before based on what I heard about you. It says, but now mine eye seeth thee, meaning now I see for myself how you actually are based on my own experience. So Job came to the understanding that whatever the Most High does is right, because his wisdom is beyond the wisdom of man. Therefore, we cannot question his choices because we don't know what the Most High knows. You see, there's a lot more to the story of Job than what we normally talk about. The Most High didn't just send Satan against Job for fun because he didn't have nothing better to do. He was teaching Job a valuable lesson that he needed to learn. Job was self-righteous. He thought he could save himself through his own works. He wasn't depending on the Most High. He was depending on himself. See, Job didn't understand that the law had to be mixed with faith. So the Most High broke him down to teach him what he needed to do in order to truly be righteous. See, the law by itself won't save anybody. But when you keep the law through faith, understanding that we are saved by grace, that's when you achieve true righteousness. Now, again, we don't get rid of the law because we have faith. We establish the law. However, we depend on the grace and mercy of the Most High to ultimately save us, because all of our righteousness is as a filthy rag. Again, no matter how well you think you keep the law, all of your righteousness is as a filthy rag. And that's what Job needed to understand. And eventually, he understood it. Now, after the Most High took everything Job had, he built him back up and he gave him even more than he had before. Let's jump down to verse 12. It says, "So Yahweh blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels and 1,000 yoke of oxen and 1,000 she-asses." Verse 13, "He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters." Verse 14, "And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren-hapuk." Verse 15, "And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren." Verse 16, "After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations." Verse 17, "So Job died being old and full of days." Now, this story is extremely important because the scripture says that Job was perfect and upright, and that he feared the Most High, and he avoided evil at all costs. However, Job was perfect by the letter. But when trouble came, Job's self-righteousness was brought to light. He wasn't moving according to the Spirit, and that's a lesson for all of us to learn. Yes, as Israelites, we keep the law, but we have to depend on the grace and mercy of the Most High to save us, not ourselves. The beautiful thing about the story is Job did learn his lesson and he matured spiritually. The Most High tried Job in the fire and he molded him into a vessel of honor. And that's the same molding process that we all have to go through, just like Job. So through the mercy and grace of the Most High, we can achieve spiritual perfection. But we have to make sure that we're not walking around self-righteous, thinking that we did something so great. It's only because of the Most High's mercy. Now, before I end this video, please be advised, all general comments are accepted. If you disagree with something that I say, you have that right. However, if you attack me on a personal level outside of the scriptures and resort to name calling and childish, unspiritual behavior, your comment will be erased and you will be blocked. Also, if you disagree with something that I teach, that's fine. You have the right to comment about it. But if you make a comment in disagreement and you don't use scriptures to support what you're saying, I won't block you, but your comment will be erased because I deal with scriptures, not opinions. Now, to the sincere Israelites who watch my videos, I'm not talking to y'all. I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to watch and listen. But I'm talking to these immature, non-spiritual trolls who always have something to say. But when you go to their page, 9 times out of 10, they don't have one single video teaching anything. But yet, they want to come on my page and teach in the comment section. I'm not allowing that anymore. So, with that being said, as always, I hope that somebody got some understanding from this video. And with that, I say, Shalom.